Now we're going to have a little look at social engineering and what you need to know. So what is the criminal trying to take advantage of? Greed, urgency, authority, and fear. Greed or offers. Phishing emails often dangle a financial reward of some kind if you click a link or enter your login information. If an email offers you something that seems too good to be true, then it probably is. We struggle to resist opening that email attachment, which promises so much. Urgency. If an email provides a strict deadline for performing an action, be suspicious. Phishing emails will try to fluster recipients by creating a sense of urgency. We make the worst decisions under stress and time pressure. Authority. People naturally follow authority, and phishers take advantage of this by sending emails that come from a common source of authority to generate panic. We tend to comply with authority rather than follow our conscience. And finally, fear. Scaring recipients is a common tactic in phishing emails. Emails that threaten you with negative consequences or punishment should be treated with suspicion. We tend to be loss averse and will seek to avoid a negative consequence. We're now going to have a look at the key types of social engineering. The first one is phishing. A phishing email is an email purporting to be from a genuine organisation in order to get you to act on the email by clicking on links, opening attachments, or making payments, or to get you to give away personal information. Next is vishing or voice phishing. Unfortunately, phishing emails are not the only way people can try to fool you into providing personal information in an effort to steal your identity or commit fraud. Fraudsters also use the phone to solicit your personal information. Phishing relies on social engineering techniques to trick you into providing information that others can use to access and use your important accounts. People can also use this information to assume your identity and open up new accounts. Finally, we have smishing. This stands for SMS phishing and is a text version of the phishing email. The text message will appear to come from an organisation you deal with and may ask you to click on a link or to pay money or to give away personal information, or finally, get you to call a premium rate number. Remember, Barclays will never ask you to move money from or to a safe account or to share your passcodes or PINs with us. If you get an email or text that claims to be from us, but it looks suspicious, please forward it, along with any attachments, if possible, to internetsecurity@barclays.com. We're going to have a more detailed look at the three different types of social engineering now. First, we're going to have a look at is phishing. Phishing attacks are still the most popular entry point for cyber criminals to land their attacks. So why do fraudsters send out these emails? Well, there's three main reasons. The first one is to get paid money. The second one is to get you to click on a fake link that you think is a legitimate one, which takes you to a website you think is genuine. So you proceed to fill in login details or personal information, and now the cyber criminal has that information and can use it against you to take over your account or to attack you. And the third reason is that you click on a link and it downloads malicious software onto your computer. When an email is asking us to do any form of action, so for example, clicking on a link, opening an attachment, or asking for us to make a payment, we need to implement checks before we take action. The first step is to slow down the pace, giving yourself time to check before you react. The second step is to ensure that the email address and the details are correct, because cyber criminals can do what's known as spoof an email. They'll take a known email address and they'll make subtle changes, either adding a character, removing a character, or changing it from .co.uk to .com. It's also possible to completely spoof an email address, so you must never trust any email that you receive. Then you need to look at what it's asking you to do. If there's a link in the email, then you need to hover over the link before you click on it. It will pop up on your screen and show you actually where the link is taking you. If you don't trust it, don't click on it. The example here on 4, if you hover over the business, it comes up with malicious link.co.uk. So what does a phishing email look like? Well, first of all, a colleague receives an email proposing to be a legitimate institution, requiring them to click on a link in order to complete an urgent action. Then the scammer is able to spoof a legitimate email address, leading the colleague to believe the email is legitimate. The user is redirected to a bogus page, which appears exactly like the genuine site. The attacker monitoring the page requests some sensitive information from you, such as your passwords, PIN entry code, and bank details. Once the process is complete, the attacker can then use that sensitive information for their advantage. Next, we're going to have a look at vishing. So voice phishing attacks take advantage of the fact that it's easy to spoof phone numbers. So please don't trust the number that shows up on your phone when you receive a call. Example of this type of attack are a phone call with fraudsters pretending to be either from a bank, the HMRC, or a large business, asking for passcodes, PIN numbers, verification codes, or personal information. The second example is a phone call with the fraudster pretending to be from the fraud department or from the police, saying that it's a fraud occurring on your account. They try and make you transfer funds to a safe account whilst they investigate. Then they may even know some information about the account to dupe you in further. Always be aware that when you receive a call and you don't know the person on the other end of the line, that you should not trust them. If you are in any doubt or there are any questions that you have, end the call and call back on a known number. So here's another example of a phishing attack. A colleague receives a call from whom they believe to be their bank. The phishing scammer is able to spoof a legitimate phone number, and they can manipulate the caller display, leading the colleague to believe that his call is legitimate. The scammer hopes to create a sense of panic by telling the colleague that there's a fraud going on, and that provokes an action that doesn't have logical thinking. Typically, then they'll require some form of payment, which is either transferring money, and you believe that it's to a known source. And once the money's transferred, before you've realised, it will have disappeared with little hope of recovery. Finally, we're going to have a look at smishing. Smishing is very similar to phishing emails that we saw before. Fraudsters send you a text message pretending to be from an organisation that you deal with, such as your bank. They use software that can manipulate where the text appears to come from, even getting it to appear in the text feed from that organisation. Generally, the fraudsters will either get you to click on a link, which will take you to a site that looks genuine, and then you'll fill in your personal details, which you've then obviously given to the fraudster. Or they get you to ring a number where you think you're ringing the genuine organisation, but you're in fact ringing the fraudster and supplying them with information that they need. So here's an example of smishing. A colleague receives a text posing as a legitimate institution, requiring them to click on it. The scammer is able to spoof a legitimate phone number, which leads the colleague to believe that the text is legitimate. The user is redirected to a bogus page, which is appearing exactly the same as the genuine site. The attacker monitoring the page requests sensitive information, such as passwords, PIN entry codes, or bank account details. And then once that's completed, the attacker can use that sensitive information to their advantage. How to avoid social engineering attacks. So in summary, these are quite simple cyber hygiene practices that can help you to avoid social engineering attacks. The first one is never reveal personal or financial data, including usernames, passwords, PINs, or ID numbers. Remember that a bank or other reputable organisation will never ask you for this information or for you to move money from your account, whether this is by email, call, or text message. Do not assume a caller is genuine because they have some basic information about you or your account, and don't trust caller ID. It can be manipulated to display a genuine looking number. Don't allow remote access to your computer. Barclays will never ask you to do this. If you receive such a call, hang up and call the Barclays fraud team. And do not open email attachments from an unknown source. And do not readily click on links in emails from unknown sources. Instead, roll your mouse pointer over the link to reveal its true destination. This will be displayed at the bottom left corner of your screen or underneath your mouse pointer. Beware if this is different from what is displayed in the text. Now we're going to have a look at some common cyber threats. The first we're going to look at is impersonation fraud. So tricks users criminals that are lurking on 3 of the top 5 also consider acquire the input of sensitive information. Then it might be worth connecting them via your mobile phone network instead of a public Wi-Fi connection. Next, we're going to have a little look at passwords. So how secure is your password? As you can see on screen, I'm bringing up 3 of the top 5 lists of easy to remember and easy to hack passwords from 2019. These have come from breaches or hacks where passwords have been stolen and then published. So let's have a look at some of these. Obviously, The most popular ones are very easy to type on a keyboard, like 123456 or QWERTY, or even using password as a password. The most popular name is Ashley for passwords, and the most popular fictional character is Superman. If one of your passwords is here, I would suggest perhaps it was time for you to change it. So what do you need to think about when setting up a password? 2 steps are better than 1. Having a strong password is really important. Make sure that it's made up of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. The longer the password is, the harder it is to compromise. So wherever possible, use over 12 characters, and for your most important passwords, 16 is recommended by the National Cybersecurity Centre. Make sure that you have a different password for every account. If you don't do this, then if one of your accounts is compromised, the hacker has access to any account with the same password. Finally, make sure that you use 2-factor authentication whenever possible. 2-factor authentication means that you have a second verification step, such as a code generator or a text with a code. We're going to have a little bit more of a look at that now. So what is multi-factor authentication? Well, multi-factor is different of these 3 activity. Make sure people incident private network. And finally, number 10, removable media controls. Limit removable devices such as USB devices. So what support is available to you as a business? Here at Barclays, we've been working really closely with the National Cybersecurity Centre, who work towards enhancing the UK cyber resilience. They've created the CISP, which is the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Partnership. It's an online platform made up of IT and cyber experts, as well as over 8,000 businesses. The purpose of the platform is to share in real time the latest information with all the users in order to increase overall situational awareness of the cyber threats and therefore reduce the impact on UK businesses. There's also an accreditation, Cyber Essentials. It's a nationally recognised certificate that establishes that you take care of your security seriously and has stood up to resilience checks carried out by a professional body. And finally, we have training within Barclays as well called Digital Wings. This is a free learning platform created by Barclays, made up of bite-sized modules on all things digital, including modules on cybersecurity. I mentioned that we work closely with the National Cybersecurity Centre. I'm now going to, and they, if you'd like, you can UK. If you'd like to find out more about them, then just press pause now. What do you need to do if you want to report a cybercrime? Well, whether you're a victim of an attack or even had an attempted attack against you, we encourage you to report as much as you can. Action Fraud is the police's internet crime reporting unit, and it's been set up to help tackle the UK cybercrime. So you should report all frauds there. If the crime's ongoing, you can also report it to your local force. And if it's a fraud that relates to your banking, then please let your fraud department know as soon as possible. You can also report phishing attacks that pretend to be from Barclays to internet security at barclays.co.uk. So let's summarise. Remember, have strong passwords and wherever possible use 2-factor authentication. Make sure that all your software is up to date. Don't trust any link, attachment, text or number, and make sure that you verify them. Have a process in place in your business for all payments and make sure that everybody knows the process. And take steps to make sure that you and all your team are aware of the risks and steps they can take to help protect your business. And remember, Barclays will not ask for your PIN sentry codes, PINs, or security credentials. You can check that a number that's calling you is genuine before you call them back through our phone number checker, which is at www.barclays.co.uk/security/phone-number-lookup. Everything we've talked about today that mentions other links has been summarised on this page. Once again, if you'd like to explore them any further, then please press pause now. All that remains is for me to thank you for your time today. If you would like to stay in contact with us, then we are on social media. On Twitter, we're